A little over a year ago, I was hungry to get on stages and perform my music. And now I do that sometimes. So in this video, I'm gonna share some tips on how you can do that sometimes too. I love performing. The stage feels like home. It's just the best. And if you're watching this video, you probably love performing too. If you don't and you're trying to use performances as a way to become a big artist, this video won't be as helpful for you. This video is not going to make you a big artist. It won't even make you a medium artist. I'm not even a medium artist. You can check out my songs though and help me out. What this video will help you with is getting a crowd to hear your music and allow you to do it on stage for them. The answer is open mic nights. Open mic nights are great. Anyone can pull up, do their art, and have a crowd to watch it. My goal with this video is to give you some open mic night tips as somebody who's been doing it for a little over a year now, and some general advice on how you can use these open mic nights to get more performances as well. So the first step, if you've never been to an open mic night, is to find one in your area. So I'm really lucky. I live right outside DC, which is also close to Baltimore, which isn't even that far from Philly and New York, so I have a lot of cities around me. Cities are gonna be your best bet. In the DC area, I could name so many venues that host monthly or more than monthly open mic nights. I go to Busboys and Poets all the time, which is a restaurant chain in the DC area. I've also been to Bloom Bars and the Pie Shop, but the specifics don't matter. Just go to one open mic night to start. Go on Google and search open mic nights near me or open mic nights in and put the name of whatever the biggest town near you is. If you are willing to drive to whatever the nearest city is, you'll probably have better luck, but I bet you can still find something a little bit closer. What's crucial is that you at least go to one. When you do find an open mic night on Google, make sure they allow music. I know it sounds kind of funny, but there are some comedy open mic nights. Make sure you don't go to one of those if you're not a comedian. There are also some that maybe are just poetry or something like that, so just make sure that in the description they have of the open mic night that music is allowed. Assuming you're a musical artist of some sort. But whatever you're doing, just go to an open mic night that accepts what you're doing. I've had some trouble with this because I'm a rapper, and sometimes I go to open mic nights where it's a lot more like, you know, acoustic music dominated, and rap is kind of like in your face intense, and it might not fit the vibe as much. I recommend going anyway. People who like music and are going to open mic nights like music. If your specific genre or vibe doesn't fit what you think the open mic night is, give it a shot, and if it doesn't work out, you can try another one. So one thing I need to emphasize is that open mic nights are really low stakes. Usually there will be a lot of people performing, and if you mess up or do terribly, people aren't going to remember that for more than 5 minutes. It's a great opportunity to make a really good impact on people if you do great, but if you do poorly, it's really not the end of the world. But as far as what to prepare for an open mic night, I recommend having a few songs in mind that you can do, and then once you get there and sort of understand the vibe of the open mic night, pick a song or two that work best. Like I said, I do rap music. I have some songs that are pretty chill and some songs that are really in-your-face hyperpop type shit. If I can sense that the crowd is like really laid back and would not be receptive to hype shit, I sort of save the hype shit for a different night and go for the more chill introspective stuff. But if you do have multiple vibes to your music, I recommend picking a few songs from each vibe and sort of being prepared to do either one of them on stage. If you're like me and you use backing tracks as opposed to playing an instrument live or something, I recommend bringing something with a headphone jack or an adapter for a headphone jack. I'm stubborn, I still have a Google Pixel 5a because it's the last Google Pixel with a headphone jack and I don't want to carry around a dongle all the time. It really helps to have that option when you're doing live music and need to aux in. If it's your first time going to an open mic night and you don't know what the setup will be like, you know, if you will be able to plug in with your aux cord to have your instrumentals or something like that, I recommend just bringing whatever portable supplies you can, something lightweight, something easy to just get going as soon as you get up there. My first open mic night, I brought this tiny Bose speaker and I just held it up to the microphone for my instrumental and then I rapped into the mic. It's not great, but it's better than nothing, and I recommend just sort of having a backup plan if it's your first time going. If you don't have so much of a natural stage presence, it's also good to sort of prepare what you're gonna say when you go up, you know, introduce yourself, explain the sort of art you make, and make sure to mention where people can follow you. If you're on Instagram or YouTube or TikTok or whatever your main platform is, try to really push that. That way the people at the open mic night who like you know where they can see you in the future as well. So you bought your tickets for the open mic night, you prepared a couple songs, and now you're there. What do you do? So every open mic night's gonna be different. The ones I go to, usually there's a clipboard or, you know, a host who you can just talk to and say, hey, can I be added to the list? I recommend pulling up a little early. If it says it's gonna start at 8, get there at 7:45. This way, if it happens to be a really crowded open mic night, you'll make sure you can get on the list. And also it gives you some time before the show to talk to people who are also there, maybe calm down your nerves if you're a really nervous performer, and just sort of getting to know the crowd you're about to perform for. As far as whether you go first, second, third, fourth, or whatever, that's totally up to you. Personally, I like to go pretty early in the night because I am a really nervous performer. I get really jittery beforehand, so the less time I spend being jittery, the better. And if you're really confident with what you're performing, just go first and really make an impact on the crowd, you know? Because people are gonna remember the very first thing that happens on stage, and if that's you and you have a really good performance, great. Now, when you get called on stage, it's time to do your thing. This is your art, you present it how you want, be your most authentic artist self, and the people who vibe with it are gonna be great fans. But performing at an open mic night is not all there is to it. Open mic nights are really about community. Even if you're at an open mic night with 10 people, all of whom are also performing, and there's no actual crowd there, this is still an amazing opportunity. You have a unique opportunity at this event to make some friends with people who do stuff that you do too. Now, having a proper audience is great. I will say if you're in the DC area, Busboys and Poets open mic nights are perfect for that because they're a restaurant and a lot of people just show up to the restaurant for the open mic nights even if they're not performing. But you don't need a crowd to grow as an artist and get more performance opportunities and have a great time. So above all else, my number one recommendation for open mic nights is watch everybody, stay to the end, and then talk to people afterwards. I went to an open mic night recently where somebody went up on stage, said it was their first open mic night, and they did pretty well and I would have liked to talk to them afterwards, but they left early. You never know who is in the crowd who's gonna want to talk to you and tell you, hey, you did a great job, or hey, I do something similar to you, do you want to collaborate sometime, or hey, do you want to hang out at the studio later, or whatever. You never know, so stay and find out. And you also never know who else at the open mic night might be super talented who you've never heard of before, and you get to meet. After the open mic night where everybody's talking and sharing Instagram handles and things like that, that's like the real community building part of it. If you keep going to open mic nights, you'll start to see some familiar faces and you'll all grow together as artists. Which leads me to my next point. What do you do after the open mic night? Okay, you went on stage, you performed for 5-10 minutes, whatever they allowed you to do, and now it's all over. No. Keep going to open mic nights. This is the key. So I started going to these open mic nights hosted by Malpractice, who's a rapper and slam poet in the DC area. And I went to a bunch of his open mic nights. And after I went to like 3 or 4 of them, he recognized that I was pretty cool. And he said, hey, do you want to do a featured set at a future open mic night? This is something you might see at open mic nights you go to, or you might not, depends where you go. But a lot of times they'll have featured artists who maybe get paid to go on stage and do like a slightly longer set. And I'm like, hell yeah, of course I want to do that. That's the dream, doing more performances and doing longer performances. So keep going, get to know the hosts, get to know the other participants, go to as many open mic nights as you can find around your area. Get yourself ingrained in the community to the point where they ask you to perform, or where they can't help but say yes if you ask to do a longer performance. Now, I mentioned this early in the video, but this video is really for if you love performing. I'm gonna leave you with some advice that I heard from Therapy Gecko on the internet. I'm paraphrasing, but he said something like, let's say you're a musician or a YouTuber or whatever thing you are, and you're trying to get bigger. Let's say you're a rapper like me and you're doing that by going to as many open mic nights as you can. Your reward for succeeding at that is just getting to do it more. So if you don't like the thing you're doing in the first place, you're not gonna like the reward either. Personally, my end goal with all this music stuff is to be able to perform somewhat regularly and get paid for it. So the way to do that is to just perform as regularly as I can, and then the reward is getting to do it more. So if you've been thinking about going to open mic nights and you haven't done it yet, this video is your sign to do it. You won't regret it. Even if it doesn't go great, it's fine, no one's gonna remember that. Just go and go and go and go again, and you'll continuously improve, and more people will start to know who you are, and you'll be able to do more and more shows in the future. If you want to help me achieve my goals of being a really cool rapper, you can check out my latest song, What Do You Want? It's super dope. I love this song so much. I also have 2 albums and a bunch of other singles out if you like the sound of What Do You Want. Let me know in the comments if this inspires you to go out there and do your thing. I hope it does. It's a really fun time. That's about it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. And maybe I'll see you at an open mic. Peace.